Hi guys, today we're going on a wild pratincole chase. I was working at the office in Arnhem, wrapping things up, when an alert came in of a pratincole species at the newer red-wattled of Zoetermeer. This can be one of three species: the black-winged pratincole, which I've seen three already in the Netherlands, then the collared pratincole, which isn't that rare, but I've never seen that one in the Netherlands. And it could also be an oriental pratincole, which is a real mega for the Western Polyarctic. I've seen one of those in 2014, but could also use some better footage of one. Let's hope it's the collared pratincole, because that would be a new species for the list. Let's go!
The collared pratincole would be my 468th species in the Netherlands. It is a species that many older birders have already seen. So if it is this species, there is a good chance I would climb some spots on the Dutch birding ranking. I'm currently ranked 108th, but adjusted for age, I'm second.
Just got a message, the bird is identified onto species level, but sadly it's a black-winged pratincole, which I already have seen some in the Netherlands. But nonetheless, a very beautiful species of wader, which I would like to get some more footage. I never got 4K footage with my camera, only some shots with my phone through my scope. So let's hope the bird is there when we will arrive. It's an hour and a half drive, and then hopefully we can film this bird. I've just parked the car. Was a bit of searching where to park the car, but now I'm walking in the area. I'm not seeing any birds yet, so I don't know if I'm at the right spot. Let's see.
This clip was shot on my GoPro Hero 6, which, although has stabilization, you can see the footage is still shaky. But as my birthday is coming up, I'm getting a DJI Action 4, which should give way better shots. Do you recognize this spot? It's actually the exact same spot I saw the first acceptable record of canvasback on June 1st. The new Driemanspolder is an artificial created wetland area on what was previous farmland. It is located in the most populated area of the Netherlands, and therefore it is frequently checked by local birders, which has resulted in many rare birds found. These were my first shots of the pratincole, sitting between good numbers of lapwing. I then grabbed my converter to get more close-up shots. Note the smaller size in comparison to the lapwing. The main identification features, like underwing color, white trailing edge to the secondaries, tail length, and amount of red on the bill, are under these conditions almost impossible to check.
When I arrived, I was pointed at a whiskered tern which was foraging behind us, but I first wanted to film the black-winged pratincole because that is the rare one, and it was directly in view between some lapwings. And after 15 minutes or so, it started to fly and catch insects in the sky.
Sadly, my Canon 90D can only shoot slow motion in HD and not in 4K, but I'm saving up for new gear. It is very motivating knowing for myself that my shots can still get a lot better in the future. After I got the first shots of the pratincole, I turned my attention to the whiskered tern that was again foraging behind us. In the same pond, this black swan was present, which is a non-native breeding species in our country. Can you spot the difference between the birders who've already seen it and who haven't? After foraging high in the sky for 10 minutes, the bird returned and sat on the closest island, but obscured by some plants. For now, these were the best shots I could obtain of the pratincole, but note the lack of details due to the high sun and heat haze. Despite this, there is a considerable amount of red visible on the bill base. I couldn't see this when filming the bird, but on my laptop it is clearly visible, and this would point more towards collared than black-winged pratincole, but more on that later. On this flight shot from Gary Bakker, you can clearly see reddish-brown underwing coverts and a white trailing edge, which clinches the identification as a collared pratincole.
I decided that while waiting for the light conditions to improve to get some better shots, it was a good idea to head to the supermarket to get some food and drinks. And while I was there, I got a text that the bird isn't a black-winged pratincole, but in fact a collared pratincole, which is a lifer. What a luck! When I was in the field, I didn't check the features myself. I thought the ID was clinched as a black-winged pratincole, and through the back of my camera didn't see any features that disproved that theory. But some other birders took a better look and identified it as a collared pratincole. So now I'm heading back and I'll bring my scope with me so I can check the features myself. And I also bought 3 boxes of popsicles because it's almost 30 degrees Celsius out here. Pretty warm, so let's see who wants a popsicle. I'm now back at the Nieuw Driemanspolder and the popsicles were eagerly received. But the collared pratincole has only showed up a couple of times, flying high over, foraging. So let's wait for the bird to sit down on the ground again to get some better shots. The collared pratincole has now been out of sight for more than 45 minutes, so I've decided to check out the other corner of the area to see if it's maybe there.
On the other side, my path was blocked by a common kestrel sitting on a sign next to it, which of course I didn't want to flush, so instead I decided to film it. After a couple of minutes, the bird flew up and started hunting again. A bit further on, my path was blocked again by both a western jackdaw and a wood pigeon.
I'm now at the opposite side of the area. It's very beautiful here, and I also see a lot of young birds that hatched this year, so that's pretty cool. But sadly the collared pratincole hasn't been refound yet. It's now more than an hour since the last sighting. There are still a lot of people on the way. Just got a call from another birder from Groningen who jumped into the car as soon as news broke that it was a collared instead of a black-winged pratincole. So I really hope the bird will return. So all those birders that are here and haven't seen it yet or are still on their way here can also see it. Because all the other birders are at the opposite side waiting for the collared pratincole, I'm all alone here in this part of the area. And look how beautiful it is. Absolutely gorgeous.
After I was done checking this spot, I went back to the original spot, but sadly the bird still hadn't returned, which is a shame as you can see how great the light conditions were now.
It's 9:15 already and the bird sadly hasn't returned. There is a small chance it will return in the last light of the day, but many birders are going home, me included, because I have a long drive ahead of me, and if it's seen, then I won't get any better shots than I got earlier today. Very happy with this new species for the list, number 468 for me, and my third new species for the year. So very happy with that, and I was so lucky to get this one. If I hadn't gone with my car to the office instead of the train I take normally, and if I had returned on the news it was a black-winged pratincole, I wouldn't have had it, and now I do have. So happy. What is happening? Yesterday I got colored pratincole as a new species, and today a red-wattled lapwing has been found in the province of Zeeland. It is a second record for the Netherlands, and it will be a new species for me, as the first record wasn't twitchable for me. It was going too quickly, sadly. Now three other birders from Groningen are joining me on this 4-hour drive. André Sikkema, Leo van Wely and Daniel Boer, who also has a YouTube channel. Now let's hope we see the bird. 2019, the red-wattled lapwing wasn't even on the radar as a possible species for northwestern Europe, as it is a short distance migrant at most. The closest breeding areas lie in Turkey. But then the same bird, based on plumage, was seen in Croatia, then Germany, Belgium, and it then reached the Netherlands. So if you trace that route back and extend it backwards, you end up in the breeding grounds. So that was enough of evidence for our relatives committee to accept that bird as a first for the Netherlands and a first for the northwestern of Europe as a whole. Arrived at the parking spot. Let's hope we see the bird.
Just as we arrived, the bird stood in the open after being obscured by the vegetation for 1.5 hours. But it was so crowded that multiple times someone put his head in front of my camera.
Got it!
In this shot, you can see the way the red-wattled lapwing was seen most of the time, barely visible between a common ragwort. It took many birders a long time before they finally had the bird in view. Two people next to me even got into an argument because each time the first person put the bird in the scope, the second person failed to see it. After an hour of waiting, the bird suddenly stood almost in the open. I shouted this to the other birders, so everyone got onto the bird, but it quickly flew into cover again. We then decided to check the bee-eaters a bit further down the road. I counted a total of 16 birds, but they were so far away I couldn't get any decent shots. Back at the site of the lapwing, the new generation got a very good species on the list already. The owner or an employee of a local restaurant started giving out coupons for a reduced price on a coffee, but as it was 30 degrees Celsius, I didn't feel like having a coffee. While I was at the bee-eaters, the lapwing relocated from the right to the left side of the pond. After a couple of minutes, the bird finally walked into the open and stayed there for about 10 minutes, giving me a great opportunity to film it. The red-wattled lapwing is my 469th species in the Netherlands, but as it is also new for almost all other birders, especially who sit on the same level on the ranking as me, and it was twitchable for multiple days, it won't make much of a difference for me on the ranking.
After waiting for 2 hours in the burning sun, the lapwing finally walked into the open and I could get some great shots. Bit backlight, but I don't complain. We're now going to see if we can film the spotted sandpiper that has been seen at Scherpenisse, which lies also in the province of Zeeland. It's an hour drive, but it's on the way home. So let's try that one also. We are now at the spot of the spotted sandpiper. Didn't take long before we saw it, but it is very far away, straight into the sun, so a lot of backlight. So that is a shame, but it is a species I have never filmed before. And how cool is it to have a rare American and a rare Asian wader on one day?
Not much can be seen on this shot, but do note the slight size difference with the common sandpiper to the right. The spotted sandpiper is slightly smaller, and although you can't see any individual spots on the chest and belly, you can note that it is darker overall than the common sandpiper.
Nee, nu zijn ze bij elkaar. Ze lopen bij elkaar nu. Ja, nu rechts ervan.
Who could have thought that there was a day that a spotted sandpiper is just a bonus species? Wow, what a couple of days this was. A colored pratincole, a spotted sandpiper and a red-wattled lapwing. Cool. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, also press the like button. I'll see you in the next one.